our lesson for today is that everyone goes through highs and lows in life and in training. Because this is the reason. Without a low once in a while, we couldn't identify a high. That's why there is a natural course of things. That's the yin-yang theory, okay? We need both. I don't need you to come in here and tell me you're on a low. And what I need you to do is learn how to stay motivated through it. And that's so much easier to say than do, guys. And trust me, I come from a place of experience on this because I've been doing this for so many years. And I've experienced lows in all different kinds of ways and pulled myself through it in all different kinds of ways. So I am experienced enough to interact with you about this stuff, okay? So I do understand that you need to learn how to stay motivated, okay? It's easy for someone to say, well, you know, you go through highs and lows, you gotta try to stay motivated. And then they leave it there, right? Well, how do we do that? Sigang and I are big believers in not telling students just what to do, but how to do it. You know, we feel that is a step that is too often left out. Learning how to stay motivated is going to teach us, you know, how to be committed. And if we don't have commitment, we don't have routine. We don't have repetition. And eventually, not the progress we want, right? So what we want to do is learn how to stay motivated so that we can stay committed, so that we can stay in our routines. It just becomes part of our habitual routine, you know? Whether we're having a high or a low, it's routine, so it's habit, so you kind of just do it, right? And then we get the repetition and eventually the progress that we want. Recognize what empowers you. What empowers you? You could say, I really love kicking, or I love my teammates, or the school's so cool, you know? Stuff like that. But that's not really what empowers you. Empowers is a big power word. That one is beyond just a basic motivation level. If you're driven by what empowers you, you can do this. And here's what you write down. You can overcome obstacles. If you're driven by what empowers you, you can overcome obstacles. Because overcoming obstacles is what leads to empowerment. You don't become empowered just by doing your regular routine. You become empowered by something disrupting your routine, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, and then you got past it anyway. You got past that obstacle. You know what that feels like on the other side of that? That's empowerment. Okay? So, we have to think beyond the obstacle in order to get past it. We have to say, hey, when I came across a hard physical or difficult physical move in Kung Fu, and I worked on it and worked on it, that was a low. I was frustrated, like, I can't do this move, you know? I had to get rid of the excuse, can't, get that right out of there. How do I do this move? How can I keep working on this move? Will I eventually get this move, right? So we worked and we worked and we worked it. Wow. That moment of having gotten it after all that work, what did you feel? That's empowerment. Okay, guys? That's what it is. The obstacle is necessary for you to overcome, for you to feel empowerment. That's why I say don't get upset when you're frustrated. Just acknowledge it for frustration and work through it. So we have to work through things. How do we work through it? That's where the mentally comes in. We work through it by staying goal-oriented. Too often, when obstacles arise, things become chaotic, confusing, and we're not sure which turn to make. I'll tell you why that happens in a second. But we need to stay goal-oriented at that point, not lose purpose. We need to be driven by purpose. Okay? Emotionally, we need to stay strong. Oh, okay, Sifu, We've been saying that a while. We need to be emotionally strong. But hey, you do, because emotionally is where you're most attacked in life. You're attacked more often emotionally than you are physically. Okay? We have to learn how to be strong. So I'll say, be strong. So that means I have to be mean. Be strong means I have to be, a little like naggy or a little, grumpy towards people. What does stay strong emotionally mean to you? I don't want to be a jerk, right? I'm trying to clean up the language here, but hopefully you guys pick up on what I'm saying. We want to stay strong emotionally. How do we do that? Here's what you do. You watch the other person or people's emotional content that they are putting on whatever they're trying to disrupt you with. So in other words, their motivation is to disrupt your pattern, your routine, and the best way that they can do that is by attaching emotional content to their side of the fight, okay? They're trying to disrupt you with their emotional content by putting that on you. Maybe it's guilt, right? Maybe it's reasoning about how you would be a good person if you did it their way, or how you are so hurtful if you do not do it their way, right? What we have to determine is, hey, we want to be a good person. We don't want to hurt somebody else. We don't want to not be compromising, or, we don't want to create escalate a situation that doesn't need to be escalated, right? We don't want to create that type of environment. So we take it all on ourselves. Okay, I'll let go of my goal because I see this is so important to you. You're emotionally, topping me. I was emotionally about a 5 at this and staying on my goal, and you're at like a 10 about disrupting my goal, my routine, my pattern, what I felt was important, okay? So this other person beat you in that. They were emotionally stronger than you. They beat you in that, like a fight almost, okay? So what we need to do is say, hey, how do I know where's the right time to make a stand for my goals? To make a stand for staying on course the way that I felt I needed to do for me? Where's the right time to do that? Because I don't want to create chaos in my life. I don't want to create where everybody's unhappy and upset with me all the time because I never do things their way, right? So sometimes we get stuck in that. So here's what we need to do. We need to assess things by saying, is this emotional content an emergency? A lot of times other people, in order to get you to do what they want you to do, is they attach emotional content at an emergency level. They feel that that is the best way to manipulate the situation to the way they feel it should go, or they feel they need it. So they make everything seem like it's an emergency level, right? With emotional content. That's what they're doing. You need to determine which ones are actual emergencies and not ones that people are making you feel with attaching emotional content to it is an emergency. That's what you need to think through. You need to decide that for yourself, whether or not that was an emergency that should disrupt what you felt was important, your routine, what you needed. Okay? And that's how you stay strong. That doesn't make you a bad person. That makes you a smart, strong person who's not constantly being overpowered by others just because you want to be a good person, a caring person, a sympathetic person, right? So we have to be careful of that, okay? People attack us, even people who are closest to us, even though they don't know they're doing it. They don't mean to do it, and they kind of do that. So we need to make sure that we can assess things that way. We can say, this may be important to you. It is not an emergency. I need to do what I need to do. You can get upset with that. I understand that. I'm not going to break over you being upset. For Kung Fu, training to be strong, right? How about we said, I always get my butt kicked all the time, always get my butt kicked, so I'm not even fight back anymore. I'm that guy that gets his butt kicked, right? How about I was training you in Kung Fu to defend yourself, and that was your attitude? Well, if I see you keep getting your butt kicked emotionally or mentally, right? And that you can't set yourself up for success to reach the goals that you have for you personally, I'm going to want to teach you to be strong emotionally too, right? Okay? It takes all of it, guys, to be able to do what you got to do. And, oh yeah, I'm a Sifu, so I'm talking specifically about your Kung Fu training here, but I'm not naive to think that this couldn't help you in lots of other places in your life that it might be happening, you know? It's important to identify these things so that we can work on becoming stronger. Just because I gave you this lecture, you might be like, I don't know. That's Sifu, okay, you know, some of that's cool, some of it's not. If I did that, my life would be chaos. No, you know, but you might get something out of it where you're like, there's a question in there now that says, hey, wait a minute, you know, I might not be being treated fairly there. There might be someone who's beating up on me emotionally or mentally, even though they're not doing it physically, and even though they're not doing it, here's the big one we have to get past, on purpose. They might not be doing it on purpose. Doesn't matter. If they're beating you up, they're beating you up. You gotta stand up, be strong, and stay focused on your goals so that you can stay motivated and you can become empowered. Nobody comes into the Kung Fu school saying, I'd like to sign up, but just I have to make sure you don't empower me, though, because I don't want to become empowered by this. I just, I want to punch and kick a little bit and maybe get a slight workout, but I don't really want to be strong, okay? So if I sign here, right, you're not going to try to empower me, right? Okay? So we need to learn all this stuff, okay? We need to learn how to be strong and become empowered by sticking to our goals, staying motivated through our highs and lows.
Sometimes it's so hard because the circumstance, there's nothing. It's hard when I do train so hard and feel helpless because there's nothing I can do.
Well,
That's
yes.
what's frustrating.
Sometimes circumstances do present emergency situations, and we have to handle them like champs, okay, and bounce back from them. That's definitely a life thing, and that's an understandable thing. But we have to make we have to be honest with ourselves and say, was this an excuse that was a real good one that I could use, that I won't be able to stay on path of my goals, and I'll just use this excuse? That's an understandable, I gotta let myself off the hook. That was a good excuse, right? Or is there any way around that excuse? Even though it's a great excuse, is there any way around that excuse where I could still do what I need to do? You know, how important is it? Okay? And we need to do that because emotional content sometimes makes situations feel like you're at a 10 at that moment. Okay? But in actuality, maybe they're not. It's just when you're in that moment, the emotions are high and you see it that way, you feel it that way. Maybe you need to take a minute, just like you would if someone was going to verbally attack you. It feels like it's going to become a physical attack and you amp up, right? Your adrenaline goes up, right? But you need to take a moment and say, whoa, wait a minute, let me see this for what it is. That takes extreme strength, and other people can't do it all the time. I don't think the best of the best can't do that all the time, you know? But maybe you could, and that's what you have to put that in there. Maybe I could decide whether this is a real emergency or whether or not it just feels like one right now. Let me take a moment, think it through. Is there another way? And that's the question we need to ask. Not, well, this is a good excuse. All this stuff happened. Yes, see if she's going to understand this one. I hope she lets me tell her about this one, because this was a good one. You know? Right? No, well, you know, this is funny because it happens to everyone, okay? So what we want to do is just learn this stuff and not beat ourselves up about it, you know? Just learn from it, that's all, you know? Like I said, I don't mind that we learn from our mistakes. The best inventors in the world learn from the greatest mistakes, right? What they didn't do was make the same one over and over and over. So, that's what we do. Yep. Okay? Let me watch their body language, watch their interaction with me. How is this person approaching me? And can I look at just that without attaching past stuff to it? Can I go forward looking at just what they're presenting right now? You know? And say, yeah, okay, I can work with this. Or, not okay. That's not the standard in which I like to be treated. So no. You know, let me approach this at a different time. You know? No, it's not okay for anyone ever to treat you poorly. But people will do it. People will do it, and they won't do it on purpose all the time.
Right.
But what you need to know is it's not okay to be treated poorly. You have a right to say, I'm done with that. No, I'll approach this at a different time. Maybe people will have evolved at that time, right? Like you did yourself. You know, if you have confidence in yourself evolving, then you can have confidence that other people might, right? So you can maybe look at it with new eyes, okay? And seeing Aiden is very honest, and therefore he will have better growth from that. So that's very good. I'm glad that you have the courage to do that. And I'm glad that you trust me on that. It's hard to trust me 100% because you're trying to express yourself, and I might take 50% of that expression and put my own spin on it, and that was not exactly what you were talking about. You know, it was maybe 50% of it, but it wasn't 100%. She didn't get me 100%, but that's okay. You know why? Because whatever you put out there and I took and sent back to you gives you something to work with. It gives you something that maybe in all of these guys didn't have before. And that's just in line with growth, and all of that is okay. Yeah? That was keywords there, limited energy. All of us have limited energy. None of us are like this endless amount of energy where we can just go save everybody or give everybody so much of ourselves and still be okay, even though we only got left with a little. We give so much, and sometimes we don't get that much back. You know what I mean? So you do have to make sure that you don't get spread too thin. And the way that you do that is by staying goal-oriented, guys. Again, learning how to stay empowered. That's what refuels you. That feeling of empowerment. Like Jean said, if you have limited energy, if you get spread too thin, okay, there's no way to push through those frustrations, to get to those goals, to stay motivated, to get through the ups and downs. Okay? We need to stay goal-oriented on our personal goals. It's okay for us to live our own personal lives. We don't need to live for somebody else's life, right? We are all here as individuals. We're all here to help each other, you know? We're all here to be as kind as we can to each other. But we also have to be the very best person we can be. And we can't do that when we're drained of all of our essence, all of everything that makes us us, right? So it's okay for you to go ahead and make sure that you focus on those things. That's another power word he brought up. Focus on the areas that are going to make you strong. Focus on the things that are going to empower you in life and make you feel like a better person. Don't try to focus all the time on what other people need. But try to be helpful. Try to be kind. Try to be the best person you can be. But do not drain yourself for someone else. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
I expect my students to be strong and to work on what makes them strong. And a lot of that is by knowing what you want, knowing what your goals are, and always trying to work towards and learn everything you can about that goal. That empowers you. And in return, it empowers people around you. Guys, that's the best way to do it. Okay? The happier you are, the healthier you are, the more everybody else around you is. If you're drained and upset and frustrated and unhappy all of the time, you're not helping anyone. Okay? You're going to draw in like people that go through life like that, and it's just going to surround you with those people. People are drawn to the same type of thing that they are, you know? People who want to be happy and motivated, empowered and successful are going to feel that that's what you want if you work on that. And then you'll just feed off of each other and help each other, you know? So you'll be stronger when that person who comes in and tries to derail you, you don't need to take them out, but you can definitely be like, yo, hey, back up a little bit there. It's not okay. You know, I gotta do me. You should be selfish. You just shouldn't be mean, you know? There's two different things there. Selfish means you're taking care of yourself. There's nothing wrong with doing that because then you can be stronger for others, you know? Just don't be mean. Don't be uncaring, you know? Just be careful that, you know, I'm trying not to be so uncaring and mean, so I'm just going to put all my stuff, everything that was important to me, trash aside. Okay, you can be the most important person. It's all about you. That makes me a good person somehow, right? No, you be the best person you can be. Then you can help other people. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, guys, let's do some training on that now.